हेलो दोस्तों, वेलकम टू द शाइनिंग ब्रेन। एनसीईआरटी सीरीज़ को आगे बढ़ाते हुए आज हम क्लास 7 का चैप्टर नंबर 4 हीट पढ़ने जा रहे हैं। In chapter 3, you learn that woolen clothes are made from animal fibers. You also know that cotton clothes are made from plant fiber. We wear woolen clothes during winter when it is cold outside. Woolen clothes keep us warm. We prefer to wear light colored cotton clothes when it is hot. These give us a feeling of coolness. You might have wondered why particular type of clothes are suitable for a particular season, in winter you feel cold inside the house. If you come out in the sun, you feel warm. In summer, you feel hot even inside the house. How do you know whether an object is hot or cold? How do we find out how hot or cold an object is? In this chapter, we shall try to seek answer to some of these questions. 4.1 Hot and Cold. In our day to day life, we come across a number of objects. Some of them are hot and some of them are cold. Tea is hot and ice is cold. List some objects you use commonly in table 4.1. Mark these objects as hot or cold. Do not touch objects which are too hot. Be careful while handling a candle flame or a stove. We see that some objects are cold while some are hot. You also know that some objects are hotter than other while some are colder than others. How do we decide which object is hotter than the other? We often do it by touching the object, but is our sense of touch reliable? Let us find out. Activity 4.1. Take three small tubes containers, label them A, B, C, put cold water in container A and hot water in container B. Mix some cold and hot water in container C. Now dip your hand in container A and now dip your left hand in container A and right hand in container B. After keeping the hands in the two container for 2 to 3 minutes, put both the hand simultaneously in container C. Do both hands get the same feeling? Bojo says, my left hand tells me that the water in mug C is hot and right hand tells me that the same water is cold. What should I conclude? Bozo confusion shows that we cannot always rely on our sense of touch to decide whether an object is hot or cold. Sometimes it may deceive us. Then, how do we find out how hot an object really is? A reliable measure of the hotness of an object is its temperature. Temperature is measured by a device called thermometer. 4.2 Measuring temperature. Have you seen a thermometer? Recall that when you or someone else in your family had fever, the temperature was measured by a thermometer. The thermometer that measures our body temperature is called a clinical thermometer. Hold the thermometer in your hand and examine it carefully. If you do not have a thermometer, request a friend to share it with you. A clinical thermometer looks like the one shown in figure 4.2. A clinical thermometer consists of a long, narrow, uniform glass tube. It has a bulb at one end. This bulb contains mercury. Outside the bulb, a small shining thread of mercury can be seen. If you do not Sorry for the disturbance. If you do not see the mercury thread, rotate the thermometer a bit till you see it. You will also find a scale on the thermometer. The scale we use in the Celsius scale indicated by degree C. Bozo wondered which of the two scales shown in figure 4.2 he should read. Paheli told him that India has adopted the Celsius scale and we should read that scale. The other scale with the range 94 to 108 degree is the Fahrenheit scale, degree F. it was in use earlier. A clinical thermometer reads temperature from 35 degrees C to 42 degrees C. Activity 4.2, reading a thermometer. Let us learn how to read a thermometer. First, note the temperature difference indicated between the two bigger marks. Also, note down the number of division shown by the smaller mark between this mark. Suppose the bigger mark read 1 degree and there are 5 division between them. Then one small division can read 1 by 5. It means 0.2 degrees C. Wash the thermometer preferably with an antiseptic solution. Hold it firmly and give it a few jerks. The jerk will bring the level of mercury down. Ensure that it falls below 35 degrees C. Now place the bulb of thermometer under your tongue. After 1 minute, take the thermometer out and note the reading. This is your body temperature. The temperature should always be started with its unit, degree C. What did you record as your body temperature? The normal temperature of human body is 37 degrees C. Note that the temperature is started with its unit. Paheli measured her body temperature. She got worried as it was not exactly 37 degrees C. Let us try to assure Paheli that there is nothing wrong with her. Activity 4.3. Measure the body temperature of some of your friends, at least 10, with a clinical thermometer. Record your observation as in table 4.2. Is the body temperature of every person 37 degrees C? The temperature of every person may not be 37 degrees C. It could be slightly higher or slightly lower. Actually, what we call normal temperature is the average body temperature of a large number of healthy person. The clinical thermometer is designed to measure the temperature of human body only. The temperature of a human body normally does not go below 35 degrees C or above 42 degrees C. This is the reason that the thermometer has a range of 35 degrees C to 42 degrees C. Bozo got a naughty idea. He wanted to measure the temperature of hot milk using a clinical thermometer. Paheli stopped him from doing so. Caution. यहाँ एक चेतावनी दी गई है. Do not use a clinical thermometer for measuring the temperature of any object other than the human body. Also avoid keeping the thermometer in the sun or near a flame. It may break. 4.3. Laboratory thermometer. How do we measure the temperature of other objects? For this purpose, there are other thermometer. One such thermometer is known as a laboratory thermometer. The teacher will show you this thermometer. Look at it carefully and note the highest and the lowest temperature it can measure. The range of a laboratory thermometer is generally from -10 degrees C to 100 degrees C. Figure 4.4. Also, as you did in the case of the clinical thermometer, find out how much a small division on this thermometer reads. You would need this information to read the thermometer correctly. Let us now learn how this thermometer is used. Activity 4.4. Take some tap water in a beaker or a mug. Dip the thermometer in water so that the bulb is immersed in water but does not touch the bottom or the side of the container. Hold the thermometer. Figure 4.5. Observe the movement of the mercury in the thermometer. Wait till the mercury thread become steady. एक और इन्फॉर्मेशन एक छोटे से बॉक्स में दिया गया है. Different type of thermometer are used for different purposes. The maximum and minimum temperature of the previous day reported in weather report are measured by a thermometer called the maximum minimum thermometer. Now note the reading. This is the temperature of water at that time. Compare the temperature of water recorded by each student in the class. Bozo now understand why clinical thermometer cannot be used to measure high temperature, but still wondered whether a laboratory thermometer can be used to measure his body temperature. Are there any variation in the readings? Discuss the possible reasons. Let us try to answer this question. Activity 4.5. Take some hot water in a beaker or a mug. Dip the thermometer in water. Wait till the mercury thread becomes steady and note the temperature. Now take out the thermometer from water. Observe carefully what happens now. Do you notice that as soon as you take the thermometer out of the water, the level of the mercury begin to fall? This means that the temperature must be read while the thermometer is in water. You may recall that while taking your own temperature, you have to take the thermometer out of your mouth to note the reading. Can you then use the laboratory thermometer to measure your body temperature? Obviously, it is not convenient to use the laboratory thermometer for this purpose. Why does the mercury not fall or rise in a clinical thermometer when taken out of the mouth? Observe a clinical thermometer again. Do you see a kink near the bulb? Figure 4.6. What is the use of the kink? It prevents mercury level from falling on its own. There is a lot of concern over the use of mercury in thermometers. Mercury is a toxic substance and is very difficult to dispose of if a thermometer break. These days, digital thermometers are available which do not use mercury. 4.4. Transfer of heat. You might have observed that a frying pan becomes hot when kept on a flame. It is possible that the heat passes from the flame to the utensils. When the pan is removed from the fire, it slowly cools down. Why does it cools down? The heat is transferred from the pan to the surrounding. So you can understand that the both cases the heat flows from the hotter object to a colder object. In fact, in all cases, heats flow from a hotter object to colder object. How does heat flow? Let us investigate. Paheli asks, does it mean that heat will not be transferred if the temperature of the two objects is the same? Activity 4.6. Take a rod or flat strip of metal, say of aluminum or iron. Fix a few small wax pieces on the rod. These pieces should be at nearly equal distance. Figure 4.7. Clamp the rod to a stand. If you do not find a stand, you can put one end of the rod in between bricks. Now hit the other end of the rod and observe. What happened to the wax pieces? Do these pieces begin to fall? Do you think that heat is transferred from the end nearest to the flame to the other end? The process by which heat is transferred from the hotter end to the colder end of an object is known as conduction. In solid, generally the heat is transferred by the process of conduction. Do all substances conduct heat easily? You must have observed that the metallic pan of for cooking has a plastic or wooden handle. Can you lift a hot pan by holding it from the handle without getting hot? Activity 4.7. Heat water in a small pan or a beaker. Collect some articles such as a steel spoon, plastic scale, pencil and divider. Dip one end of each of these articles in hot water. Wait for a few minutes. Touch the other end. Enter your observation in table 4.3. The material which allow heat to pass through them easily are conductors of heat. For example, aluminum, iron and copper. The materials which do not allow heat to pass through them easily are poor conductors of heat, such as plastics and woods. Poor conductors are known as insulator. The water and air are poor conductors of heat. Then, how does the heat transfer take place in the substance? Let us find out. Activity 4.8. Take a round bottom flask. If flask is not available, a beaker can be used. Fill it two-thirds with water. Place it on a tripod or make some arrangement to place the flask in such a way that you can heat it by placing a candle below it. Wait till the water in the flask is still. Place a crystal or Place a crystal of potassium permanganate at the bottom of the flask gently using a straw. Now heat the water by placing the candle just below the crystal. Write down your observation in your notebook and also draw the picture of what you observe. 4.9. When when water is heated, the water near the flame gets hot. Hot water rises up. The cold water from the side moves down towards the source of heat. This water also gets hot and this water also get hot and rises and water from the side moves down. This process continues till the whole water gets heated. This mode of heat transfer known as convection. How does the heat travel in air? In which direction does the smoke go? The air near the heat source get hot and rises. The air from the side come in to take its place. In this way, the air get heated. The following activity confirm this idea. Activity 4.9. Light a candle. Keep one hand above the flame and one hand on the side of the flame. Do your hand feel equally hot? If not, which hand feel hotter and why? Be careful, keep your hand at a safe distance from the flame so that they do not get burnt. Notice that towards the top the air gets heated by convection, therefore the hand above the flame feel hot. On the side, however, there is no convection and air does not feel as hot as at the top. The people living in the coastal areas experience an interesting phenomenon. During the day, the lands get heated faster than the water. The air over the lands become hotter and rises up. The cooler air from the sea rushes in towards the land to take its place. The warm air from the land moves towards the sea to complete the cycle. The air from the sea is called the sea breeze. To receive the cooler sea breeze, the windows of houses in coastal areas are made to face the sea. At night, it is exactly the reverse. The water cools down more slowly than the land. So, cool air from the land moves toward the sea. This is called the land breeze. When we come out in the sun, we feel warm. How does the heat from the sun reaches us? It cannot reach us by conduction or convection, as there is no medium such as air in the most part of the space between the earth and the sun. From the sun, heat comes to us by another process known as radiation. The transfer of heat by radiation does not require any medium. It can take place whether a medium is present or not. When we sit in front of a room heater, we get heat by this process. A hot utensil kept away from the flame cools down as it transfers heat to the surrounding by radiation. Our body too gives heat to the surroundings and receives heat from its by radiation. All hot bodies radiate heat. When this heat falls on some object, a part of it is reflected, a part is absorbed, and a part may be transmitted. The temperature of the object increases due to absorbed part of the heat. Why are you advised to use an umbrella when you go out in the sun? 4.5. Kinds of clothes we wear in summer and winter. You know that in summer we prefer light colored clothes and in winter we usually wear dark colored clothes. Why is it so? Let us find out. Activity 4.10. Take two identical tin cans, paint the outer surface of the black and of the other white. Pour equal amount of water in each and leave them in the midday sun for about an hour. Measure the temperature of water in both the cans. Do you find any difference in the temperature? In which can is the water warmer? You can feel the difference even by touching water in the two cans. Activity 4.11. Fill the two cans used in activity 4.10 with the same amount of hot water at the same temperature, say at 60 degrees C. Leave the cans in the room or in a shade. Note the temperature of water after 10 to 15 minutes. Does the temperature of the water in both the cans fall by the same amount? Do this activity suggest to you the reason why it is more comfortable to wear white or light colored clothes in the summer and dark colored clothes in the winter. Dark surface absorb more heat and therefore we feel comfortable with dark colored clothes. In the winter, light colored clothes reflect most of the heat that falls on them and therefore we feel more comfortable wearing them in the summer. Woolen clothes keep us warm in winter. In the winter, we use woolen clothes. Wool is a poor conductor of heat. Moreover, there is air trapped in between the wool fibers. This air prevents the flow of heat from our body to the cold surrounding, so we feel warm. Suppose you are given the choice in the winter of using either one thick blanket or two thin blankets joined together. What would you choose and why? Remember that there would be a layer of air in between the blanket. Here, this is the end of this chapter. Some keywords is there: Celsius scale, insulator, sea breeze, conduction, land breeze, temperature, conductor, radiation, thermometer, convection. ओके गाइस, तो मिलते हैं फिर से नेक्स्ट चैप्टर में. तब तक के लिए थैंक यू.